So for the NCAA March Madness, the biggest tournament in college basketball for women, this is our weight room. Let me show y'all the men's weight room.
What would you like to see change?
When we start talking about these things, that's how change happens.
The scariest thing I've ever experienced, and I'm begging her, screaming, please stop the ATV, please stop the ATV. And she stops it as hard as she can, shoves me to the ground, looks me dead in my eyes, and then takes off and leaves me.
CU says Sedona Prince is still on its women's basketball team. That's despite nearly 170,000 signatures on an online petition calling for her removal. Prince came under heavy scrutiny this weekend after her ex-girlfriend accused her of physical and verbal abuse. In a statement, she called the accusations inaccurate, false narratives.
Sedona Prince, someone who is very interesting. She is the oldest player competing in the March Madness tournament, and someone who has a very, very complicated history. A lot of not so great stuff about her, which could, in a way, affect her WNBA prospects. So, right now, Sedona Prince is 24 years old. In May, she has a birthday and will turn 25. And will be finishing her 7th year of college basketball. Sedona Prince is someone who has played at 3 schools. She has been through multiple injuries. And she was someone who, at one point, was largely known as the player at Oregon who, during COVID, showed off the amenities that the women's basketball teams had in comparison to the men's basketball team. That was something that she put it on TikTok, and that was a huge thing. That was her claim to fame for a hot second. And she's someone who is at TCU making some noise for this team and helping them to sort of hit the markers that they have hit. But she's also someone who has an extremely, extremely flawed past, or accusations, I should say, because I don't want to get sued. And I want to talk through it. I want to talk through Sedona Prince and what's going on there. Now, you all heard me say that this is someone who has been in college since 2018 because it's true. Sedona Prince is old. She's 6'7". She's a mobile big who can kind of space the floor. She does have some pretty good shooting. She can get the mid-range in terms of her shot, which is good for someone who is 6'7". She's someone who is elite at the pick and roll action. We've seen her do the pick and roll action all season with Haley Van Lith. It's working out really, really, really well. But as I said earlier, the theme, respect your elders, she's also someone who's been in college for forever, right? Forever. She started in 2018 in college. Yeah, we are now in 2025, and she started in college in 2018. Wild. She was a top 10 high school recruit, and she ended up taking a redshirt year her freshman season because she had a leg injury. So yeah, she committed to Texas, was at Texas, had an injury her freshman year, so she didn't play. And then she decided to transfer to Oregon. So she was at Texas, never played a game, transferred to Oregon. And she had to sit out because of transfer portal rules, because now the transfer portal is very different. Now you can play immediately, but before she had to sit out. So she originally started college in 2018, did not actually hit the floor until 2020. And that's when she started to make some stuff happen, right? She started to, play pretty well for Oregon. In her first season, she was someone who averaged around 10 points a game, 10.4 points a game, 3.9 rebounds, which it just kills me how tall she is and how she is not the highest rebounding player in the country. I just don't get how you can be that tall and not rebound the basketball. I don't get it. Anyway, she averaged around 10 points a game in her first playing season. And then, the NCAA tournament happened. She made that video about, the disparities and blah, 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 blah. And then her prominence kind of went up from there, right? She also is someone who is a part of a lawsuit, right? She is one of the key players who filed a lawsuit against the NCAA to help players get more, have more money making opportunities, and that helped to lay the foundation of the NIL. So she was someone who was very, very out there, right? She was calling out disparities around the treatment that women's basketball players had in the NCAA. She was someone who was calling out the NCAA for not giving athletes their just due and helping in a lot of ways to lead to where we are with the NIL. So sure, that's great. That's great. So in a lot of cases, yeah, she was like the big hero in a lot of instances. But then that positive light that Sedona Prince had, started to hear more about some controversy. Started to hear more. And really, since 2018, Sedona Prince has faced multiple, and I mean multiple, allegations of physical, sexual, emotional abuse from former partners. So one of those things was a lawsuit that was dismissed involving sexual misconduct in 2019. Another was a 2022 civil suit that was also dismissed from a former partner. And then there was a TikTok that was put out accusing Sedona of abuse. In January of 2025, there was a alleged altercation between Sedona and a TCU student where they accused each other of assault. There was no charges filed in that. Over these various allegations, Sedona Prince has denied all accusations and has not been charged in any of these cases because charges were dismissed on two of them. She released a TikTok saying that she never abused anyone in her life. But still, the allegations and the impact of those allegations are real. There was a petition that was calling for the removal, for her removal on TCU's team. And that was something that had a lot of signatures. It had like plus 200,000 signatures, right? And there was just a lot of controversy around Sedona Prince, and it was a lot of people saying, "Hey, TCU, why do you have her on your squad?" And TCU is like, "Hey, we are following university protocols." Petition didn't do anything. Ultimately, it did nothing. And she has helped to get the Horned Frogs to where they are. Got them to have a severely successful season where she's been averaging 17.6 points a game this year, 9.4 rebounds a game. She's been doing her thing, right? On the court, very, very high talent. However, there are real questions from a basketball standpoint. Yes, Sedona Prince is having a fantastic year. Fantastic, right? 17.5 points a game, 9.5 rebounds a game. Someone who's averaging 3 blocks a game, right? She's doing her thing. Top 5 in blocks nationally. She's shooting very, very efficiently. She's someone who is anchoring the defense of TCU, right? However, as she goes into the WNBA draft, which she is all out of eligibility. Now, Sedona Prince cannot come back to college. It's like she's done. Her career is done in college. So next up is the WNBA. But WNBA teams are kind of weighing a whole bunch of stuff. Because at nearly 25 years old, yes, Sedona Prince is dominating in college. However, she's dominating against much younger competition. There's one thing to be dominating as a 24-year-old against 18-year-olds than to going in the WNBA, right? Yes, she's playing great. But is some of that because of her playing teenagers? Literally? Yeah, Celeste. Yeah, she's 24 playing against teenagers. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, that is in accordance to the rules because she's had so many injuries, right? And the thing I want you all to know is, yes, Sedona Prince has been technically in college. She's been technically in college since 2018, but remember she didn't play, and then she had to wait a year, and then she went, and then she was at Oregon. Okay, but throughout her college playing career, Sedona Prince, since 2018, has only played in 106 games. I just want that to I want you to kind of put that in your head. She only played in 106 games over all of that time because of all the injuries she's dealt with. So, yes, she's been in college for a long time. However, she hasn't even played a ton of games. She hasn't. She has not played a ton of games. But you run the risk of, you're 24 years old. Of course you should be dominating. Of course. But also, you got to think about her injury history. This is someone who had to redshirt 2 times, right? She broke her leg. She had a torn elbow ligament, right? She has had a lot of injuries. So injury history is absolutely a thing. She also has to think, WNBA teams also have to think about, how does she fit in the new look WNBA? This is a WNBA squad that, is looking for players that are tall and big, but can do a lot of stuff. Sedona Prince, in a lot of ways, is a traditional center. But with the likes of Asia Wilson, with the likes of, Nafisa Collier, with the likes of Brianna Stewart and Jonquil Jones, even Brittany Griner, big players are asked to do way more. The traditional big, in a lot of instances in the WNBA, is dead. But in a lot of instances, that's what Sedona Prince can do. She is a traditional big. Let's take a quick break to say thank you to Franco, the Italian, for the Super Chat. Says, love the show. Thanks for the women's basketball education. Well, salute to you. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, if y'all could make sure to hit that like button. That really does help the channel out a whole lot. Hit that like button. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's continue on. And we'll get off this Sedona Prince bit in a second. All right, so on the court, Sedona Prince, yeah, she does her job in college, but again, playing against younger players, also traditional big, not necessarily what the WNBA is necessarily looking for right now. There's also a lot of off-court baggage that she has, a lot. And with some domestic abuse allegations in a draft prospect, that looks kind of suspect. That doesn't look good, right? So there's some teams that are looking like, I don't know if we should be bringing somebody on our roster that has all of this baggage, all of this stuff. Now, has she been convicted of anything? No. She's not being convicted of anything. These are all allegations, several allegations, but allegations nonetheless. Allegations that she has denied, allegations that supposedly TCU has looked into and clearly has supposedly found nothing, because if they did, she would not still be playing with the team. Now, with all of that being said, we still have a team that is, or we still have a league that is all about empowering women. We have a league that is literally full of women. Literally, it's in the name, WNBA. And then you maybe bringing on someone who has, allegations associated with him. Again, don't sue me. Allegations. I'm making that clear. These are allegations. This is a concern. But even though with all the allegations and whatnot, there is still a lot of positives about Sedona Prince. 1, she is a really good passer. 2, she can defend really well. She can stand at that rim and block some shots, right? She can do some stuff, right? She is someone who can knock down shots in the paint. She is someone who can be very, very efficient scoring. So, while there are some possible cons about Sedona Prince, make no mistake, Sedona Prince is a really good get. And if it was not for all the allegations and whatnot, I think a lot of people would have her as a solid first round pick. Even with the allegations, she's a solid first round pick. She is someone who has some upsides in the WNBA. We'll ultimately see what happens from there. But like, could Sedona Prince be a like Jonquel Jones type player? Could she? Possible. It's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take a whole lot of work. But from a basketball standpoint, Sedona Prince is a really good get. Remember, guys, last year before she got injured, she was averaging 19.7 points a game, right? TCU was on fire before, right? And then this year, yeah, a little bit lesser, but like 17.6 points a game. Like she's doing really, really well. So on the basketball court, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Top player, right? But, you gotta weigh it out, right? 6'7", you can't teach that. You can't teach height. And she does have good basketball IQ. Again, watch the pick and roll actions between Sedona and Haley. In the WNBA, there's a ton of pick and roll actions. And so the question is, where does Sedona fit? If you just look at her basketball IQ, if you look at the production that she gives on the court, she's a really good player, right? She's an impactful player. And with that in mind, there is a place for her in the WNBA. However, the polarizing thing about her is those allegations. And there's a question mark of like, okay, yes, a WNBA team is going to draft her. Yes, I do think she's going to be in the first round, but who's going to pick her? Because whoever picks her is going to have to deal with the possible petitions, possible people who are just pissed off that Sedona Prince is in the WNBA. And as of right now, she still has not been convicted of anything. These are just allegations. And I see it two ways. Like, yeah, it's very, very concerning. But at the same time, if someone has not been convicted, how can you can't fully just like write somebody off and prevent them from living their life, prevent them from making a career out of themselves if it's just allegations. That's the thing. Like it would have been cleaner if all of these allegations would have actually went to court and there was some actual like finality to it, where like a judge or a jury was able to say, guilty, not guilty, that type of thing. But because that has not happened, we're in this weird space where it's like, these allegations are terrible, and also they're just allegations, and so it's a weird stance that we're on. But here's the deal. She is someone who is very, very tall, 6'7". She's someone who has a lot of on-court production, but her off-court history demands some scrutiny. She is not just a player, with a past, right? She's a player who is still, in a way, actively in controversy with it still being fresh in everyone's mind. Now she has this future career as a professional basketball player, and that's gonna involve her having both talent on the court and also integrity and accountability off the court as well. Whatever her WNBA journey looks like, it's up to the league to ultimately determine where she goes. I do think she's a first round pick. I do, but we'll ultimately see what happens. And WNBA teams are going to have to determine: is it worth the risk? Is having Sedona Prince and the possible negative controversies, is it worth the risk? That's the question. I don't know. WNBA teams will have to determine that for themselves. All right, guys. This is not the type of content I usually talk about. Like, I usually don't talk about controversies or all that stuff. But with as big of a name as Sedona Prince is, I thought it would be important to at least kind of level set with what are the facts, what's out there about this whole situation. And have you all determine whatever you want to think from there. So hopefully this is helpful. If not, sorry. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Let's move on.